This activity is called a left side lying right propulsion. This is an activity that we will use to help extend or lengthen the right leg and use that leg to create a push from right to left. To set this up the right way every time, we're going to go through these steps exactly as we're going through them right now. So Coach Jake is lying flat on the table, and he's put himself directly on his left side and made himself as tall or as long as possible. His feet are lightly touching the wall. It's important that this is where you start every time so that we're getting a true lengthening or reach of the right leg. So the first thing that Coach Jake is going to do is he's going to start sliding his right foot up the wall, and he's going to make sure he gets it a little bit above his hip. And at this point, he has no contact with the wall in this position. So what he's going to do is he's going to reach his right foot towards the wall, and he's going to gather his medial foot contacts. First metatarsal head, medial heel. The other two contacts, the fifth metatarsal and the lateral heel, are not as important in this activity as in other positions that we put you in. So they can either be off of the wall if needed, or very lightly creating pressure against the wall. From this position here, we're gonna just check that everything's stacked, and we're gonna make sure that we stack our hands on top of each other so that we are in a complete straight line on our side, not rolled over with our shoulders or rolled over with our hips just yet. The next thing Coach Jake's gonna do is he's going to start sliding his left knee up towards his hips. And that position of his knee is going to be dependent on where he has space to move into. So if somebody has access to 90 degrees of hip flexion, that's where we're going to put them. And getting into this anti-gravity position might allow them to reach that to begin with. Signs that you don't have access to that space would be as you move up there, feeling like you're tugging other parts of the hips along with you. So if you can drag it up and everything's staying in place, work yourself to 90 degrees of hip flexion on the left side. From this position here, he's going to cue an increased push into the wall along with a slight roll of his right hip towards the left, and you'll see his right fingers slide slightly in front of his left fingers. He's making sure that as he does that, he's not using a compensation from his lower back, so he's not extending his lower back or arching his lower back, as some people call it. It's staying in a nice straight line. Hips are still relatively stacked, and if he hits it right, he should pick up a good amount of right glute activity in this position. Next is going to be the execution of the breathing. So he's going to inhale silently through his nose, and on his exhale through the mouth, which is also going to be nice and easy, he's going to think about reaching his right leg even further. I'm hesitant to use the word push because what we really want to think about is getting the right leg longer, but that will create a bigger pushing sensation on the medial foot contacts on the right side. We can do this anywhere between 1 to 3 sets for 5, 8, 10 breaths.